Dear footballing gods, Bobby, Pelly, Franz, Diego, all of you, thank you. Thank you for your services to our beautiful game. However, could we please have 3 points for West Ham United at Stamford Bridge this weekend? Could Leeds United get beat? Can Manchester City please beat Spurs? And oh, one more thing. Can Scotland please win the World Cup? I thought whilst I'm here, I might as well make it worth my while. Thank you. Amen. Welcome to the Tartan YouTube channel. This is my Premier League preview and prediction show. If you're new around here, please do subscribe. It only takes 2 seconds and it's completely free. Let's get straight into it as Brighton host Everton, and things are not going well for the Seagulls lately, is it? Just one win in their last 10 games, 4 defeats in that period. However, just one loss at home since April, winning 7 and drawing 7 in that period as well. So they're excellent at the Amex Stadium, not very good away. I always say with Brighton, they're consistently inconsistent. And I've been saying it for over a year now, and I still think it's true, which sums up Brighton, consistently inconsistent. Brighton fans are starting to get a little bit unhappy with Hursley, and I understand why. Because they should be getting European football. They should be close to European football with this squad they've got. They've got an excellent squad. They've got really good depth at that football club as well. No European football this season too. So I think getting top 8 is a realistic ambition for Brighton. Now, can Brighton get European football this season? Yes, they can. They're not that far away. But if they continue as they are, they're more likely to finish in the bottom half of the table, and I would deem that to be a bad season for Brighton. Hosting Everton, just one loss in 6, and they've got a good away record as well this season, winning 5, drawing 2 and losing 4. It's not too bad actually. It's one of the better away records that Everton have had in the Premier League at this point. So it's a difficult game for Brighton, but I also think it's a tricky game for Everton as well. And when that happens, you know what I do. I go down the middle and I'm going to pull out my favourite or most common score prediction. Brighton 1, Everton 1. Moving on to Ellen Road, my eyes will be firmly fixed on this fixture until I have work to do around the West Ham game. Leeds United hosting Arsenal, just one loss in 10 league games for Leeds. 5 unbeaten at home. Ellen Road's a tough place to go. They're difficult to beat. Leeds United are difficult to beat. They're not winning loads of games, but if you get 1 defeat in 10, and I think they've got 3 wins in 13 Leeds, that's off the top of my head. Apologies if that's slightly incorrect. And the rest are draws. That's okay. If you're Arsenal, that's not okay. You need wins. But if you're a side trying to stay in the Premier League, 1 defeat in 10 is fantastic for no matter who you are. You're putting points on the board. You're difficult to break down. You're keeping those behind you at arm's length. Leeds are doing good right now. Taking on Arsenal, who have failed to win the last 2 league games, opening up the title race for Manchester City and Aston Villa to get in there. Only lost 1 of their last 9 away games in the Premier League, winning 5 of those. Or you could look at in the sense that they've only won 5 of 9 away from home. I think Arsenal will cope. If there's any team that will cope with Leeds United set pieces in the Premier League, it should be Arsenal. If there's any team that's going to put Leeds under pressure at set pieces, it should be Arsenal. Struggled last week, and I think a lot's been made of it, but the way that Man U played, I think the way Arsenal played suited Manchester United. Now, the reverse fixture is the one that Farke got badly wrong this season. He went to the Emirates and went toe-to-toe, and it got ripped apart, and it was a stupid thing to do. I don't think they'll do that this time round. I think they'll be much more organised, much more pragmatic, harder to break down, and that's the test for Arsenal. Can they break down this tough Leeds United team? I think they might. Everton managed it eventually, but Everton managed it. Everton played well for about half an hour on Monday night. It was enough to get a goal and to get a point against Leeds United. I'm going to say Leeds United 0, Arsenal 1. A narrow away win I'm going for. Wolves host Bournemouth at the Molineux. 1 defeat in 5 for Wolves. Not bad. Also 1 win in 5 for Wolves. Not great. Stats tells you what you want it to tell you. Clean sheet in the last 2 at the Molineux, however, and they're a lot more organised, a lot better under Rob Edwards in appreciate this might come across as a little bit arrogant, and I can't really say anything. I support West Ham. But I feel like what I'm witnessing from Wolves is just reasons to be hopeful about next season. It sounds a bit harsh. They're just not getting out of this. They are relegated. But it's about putting foundations in place. It's about Rob Edwards getting his feet under the table, getting things ready so that come August, they're ready to hit the ground running in the Championship and get straight back up to the Premier League. And what he's doing right now, I think, will be really beneficial for Wolves come August. Even just blooding Mane. Now, whether Mane stays there next season, I imagine he'll get picked up by someone else. But you can look at it both ways. Either he stays there and they've got a fantastic young player for the Championship, or his transfer values going up every single week that he plays in the Premier League at the minute, and they're going to generate more and more money for him in the summer. I like what Rob Edwards is doing at Wolves. Taking on Bournemouth, who went 11 without a win, and now they've won 2 of the last 3. Welcome to the Premier League. It feels like there's a lot of streakiness going on in Premier League this season. I don't know if it's just because I'm doing these videos every week. For the first time in my life, I'm doing like Premier League previews every single week. So I'm picking up on it a lot more. I don't know if it's just I'm just more aware. But it feels like there's a lot more. Well, like Brighton, 1 win in 10. Bournemouth went 11 without a win. West Ham went 10 without a win. Burnley are still 13 without a win. And I appreciate most of these teams are down the bottom of the table. But it does feel a lot streakier. We'll get on to someone who's done the opposite. They've flipped it round. They've had a good streak, and I'll tell you where they are in the league and how far off they are in a certain position. It might surprise you if you don't know what the league table looks like, especially if you're a West Ham fan. You know what the bottom bit looks like, but I'm talking about someone in the top half of the table. You may be unaware of what's going on up there. We don't tend to look at that. When the league table flashes up, top half comes up, we go, yeah, whatever. Then the bottom half comes up, and then go, right, this is us. Let's have a look. We don't always pay attention to the first bit, do we? As for Bournemouth, though, this could be, if they win this fixture, it'll be the first time they've had back-to-back wins in the league since September. So it just goes to show how patchy Bournemouth have been. Because they started the season in excellent form. They were second at one point. Then they really slipped down. They weren't too far away from relegation, but like I said, 2 wins and a draw in the last 3. It's taken them away. Relax a little bit. Got a couple of new signings in. I don't know anything about either of them, so I can't say, oh, that's a good player, that's a bad player. I feel confident they'll be good players. Why? Because I trust Bournemouth. Not so much for this game, though. I'm going to say Wolves 2, Bournemouth 2. Bournemouth got a really bad away record, by the way. 1-1, drawn 5, lost 5. They're not great away from the Vitality Stadium, so I'm going to go for goals, 2-2. Moving on to Stamford Bridge, where Chelsea host my team. Chelsea have now won 5 of 6 under the senior. I watched the game last night away to Napoli, a fantastic win, but really weird tactics from the senior in the first half. Sort of went, matched Napoli up and just got it all wrong. But he sorted it out. He made his subs early on in the second half, went to his back four, looked a lot more comfortable, kept Napoli at arm's length, won the game. Great goal from Pedro. That first touch for the second goal to make it 2-2. I love things I love in football. I love a good assist, but I love a good first touch like that. Whether it's, controlling a 60-yard long ball, killing it dead with your foot, or just something. I love it. Zidane, when he received a throw from Barthez, I'm sure it was Barthez, I'm sure it was for France and not Real Madrid, but he received it on the halfway line. Oh, you haven't seen it, just Google it. Zidane first touch, keeper throw. It'll probably come up. Oh, it's just special. Marcelo, Real Madrid had a couple of those as well. I love a good first touch. Anyway, back to the game. Just 2 defeats in 9 at Stamford Bridge in all competitions. So Stamford Bridge was a very tough place to go last season. Not so tough this season. I think they've already equalled the amount of defeats at home this time round compared to the entirety of last season. But they are still picking up points. They were just excellent last season and very good this season. So there's been a drop-off, but they're still really good. As for us, well, back-to-back wins in the Premier League for just the second time this season. Only 2 defeats in our last 6 away games. Only 1 win, but, 2 defeats in our last 6 aways. Form. It's not often we get to say that about West Ham, is it? Do you know something? I'm just going to go with it. I'm going with my gut. Chelsea 1, West Ham 1. I think we're going to get a point. Maybe I'm delusional. I'm okay with that. Anyway, I forgot something, didn't I? I'll be honest with you, I was going to do it after the Brighton game. So I thought, let's do my stupid prayer at the start, get straight into Brighton, and then we've got to talk about last week. You lot, much better. Excellent. The average score from the Tartan Geo subscribers getting involved with their predictions last weekend was good. Lots of 9s, 8, 9s, 10s. I thought I had 11 points. I thought, ooh, sometimes that's enough to win it. And then I've done quite a few predictions, 8, 9, 5, 6. I thought, I'm going to win my own prediction competition again. No, because someone had 12 points. This person, Hammerhead, well done. He got 1 point for correctly predicting West Ham would beat Sunderland. He also got a point for predicting a draw at Turf Moor, the draw at Craven Cottage. But he said 2-0 Manchester City, giving him a nice 3 points there. He also said Chelsea would win 3-1 at Selhurst Park. And he also had Everton Leeds finishing 1-0. So 12 points. Hammerhead, congratulations. You are the winner of the prediction competition here on Tartan Geo. This is your prize. A shout out from a random Scotsman chatting nonsense on the internet. However, he wasn't the only one. And I'm pleased with this one. Listen, I try and stay unbiased as possible doing these videos. It's not always easy. I dislike Man United. I dislike Spurs. I quite like Villa. I quite like Newcastle. I quite like Sunderland. It's difficult. Well, I quite like this subscriber. Because I do stuff with West Ham, this is one of my favourite subscribers. She's been there since the start. Joan! At the end, she wrote, I'll keep thinking I've chosen well, as 1 week I'll actually do well. Well, Joan, it was last week you did well, because you correctly predicted West Ham would beat Sunderland 3-1. You correctly predicted Burnley would draw 2-2 at Spurs. You also said Manchester City would beat Wolves 3-0. Then you went on to say Chelsea would beat Crystal Palace 3-1. Now, that was the only outcomes you got right. You only got 4 outcomes right. But all 4 were correct scores. So you also got 12 points. So, John, congratulations. You were also the winner from last weekend. But a good set of predictions from you lot. I was happy. I was impressed with you all. Get involved. In the description below, in the pin comments below, I put the list of fixtures. Copy, paste, give me your predictions, and one of you next week will be getting a shout out from me on this channel. It's a pathetic prize, but it's all I can afford. Right. Liverpool host Newcastle United. We've got a late game on Saturday night, 8 p.m. kickoff at Anfield. Liverpool lost to Bournemouth after 13 unbeaten. However, they did bounce back with a 6-0 win in the Champions League. Salah getting on the score sheet after returning from the African Cup of Nations. 7 unbeaten at Anfield, winning 4 of those games, taking on Newcastle United, who have won just 2 of their last 11 aways. It feels like a good result away to PSG, although it didn't really work because it was finished 1-1. They both finished outside the top 8, so they're now both in the playoffs, rather than one of them being in the playoffs and another one automatically going through to the last 16. Lost 6 of their last 11 away games. They don't travel well, Newcastle. It's been a problem all season for them under Eddie. However, good news for them midweek was that Bruno was back on the bench after missing that defeat to Aston Villa last week. I had a little look at the head-to-head. Liverpool have won 2, drawn 1 and lost 1 against Newcastle in the last 4 head-to-heads. However, the game they lost, I don't think Newcastle fans will mind that too much, because the game they lost was the final where Newcastle beat them. Difficult game for both teams, difficult to predict. Both teams are untrustworthy at the minute. They're on Gio's naughty step, which is don't trust you. Don't know what version of you is going to turn up. Difficult game to call. I'm going to say Liverpool 2, Newcastle United 1. However, I don't feel confident about this prediction. Why am I doing it then? I just don't trust Newcastle away from home. 2-1 Liverpool. Moving on to Sunday's games. Aston Villa host Brentford. Villa with a big win at St James's Park last week. Just 4 points behind Arsenal going into this weekend. 1-4, drawn 1 and lost 1 of their last 6. Now, this is before they play Salzburg. They haven't played Red Bull Salzburg. I'm recording this on Thursday during the day, so I don't know the outcome of that game. They've won 11 at home before that Everton defeat a couple of weeks ago. That was a disappointing game and a disappointing defeat for Villa, but it was merely just one bad day at the office. You can chalk that down to just a one-off game because they've bounced back with an impressive win. Hosting Brentford, who have lost their last 2 after winning 5 and drawing 1 in their 6 previous, but they did also beat Aston Villa earlier on in the season at the G-Tech Community Stadium, winning 1-0, but that was just the second game in the Premier League for both teams. It's a different Aston Villa now, and it's a different Brentford, but we've seen the good, the bad and the ugly of Brentford this season. They're hard to predict because before that nice run they've just had, they'd only won one game away from home all season, which was against charity shop West Ham United. I just can't go against Villa. I just can't do it. I rate them so much, and I've been justified because nearly every week they've won. They keep on winning, and I think they're going to keep on winning again. Tonight, although they've got a small squad at the minute, a lot of injuries, they don't really need to win. So I'd imagine he will rotate as much as he can, Emery, and give a few key players a bit of a rest. And I think they'll beat Brentford at the weekend. Villa 2, Brentford 0. Manchester United taking on Fulham. 2 wins out of 2 under Michael Carrick against Manchester City and Arsenal. Very, very impressive. However, I think because of who they were playing, it suited the way that Man United wanted to play. I think they enjoy being able to sit back, soak up the pressure, hit them on the counter-attack. I'm not so sure they'll be able to play like that against Fulham. I think Carrick's going to have to come up with a different set of tactics, but I'm quite hopeful that he will. Unbeaten in 6 now, winning 3 and drawing 3, losing just 1 of 10 games at home at Old Trafford. Now, a lot of this is under Ruben Amorim. I've seen I use various different sites to collate my information for doing this show. Do a bit of research for you all, you know. And one of it said, like, Carrick can match Ruben Amorim's run, and it said whatever it was. And I thought, well, he's not though, is he? Because those games you're talking about happened under Ruben Amorim. It was like the last 7 games or something. So basically it was like if Man U win this weekend, the points they picked up in their last 7 games is the best it got under Amorim under any 7 games consecutively. I thought, yeah, but 4 of the 7 games were under Amorim. It just feels a bit... I don't know. I just think, look, Amorim's gone now. He's covered in bullet holes. You don't need to continue firing the gun at Ruben Amorim. Just move on. Judge Carrick for what we're seeing. And I certainly am, and I'm very impressed by what I'm seeing by Michael Carrick. But it's only 2 games. And actually, games like this is where, come on then, can you win against a really good informed side at the minute? Because that's exactly what Fulham are. 4 points. Here they are. 4 points off 4th. Yes, Fulham. About a month and a half ago, they were outside the relegation zone, and they were not far away from the bottom 3 either. They were struggling. They have been in incredible form, Fulham, and now they sit 4 points off 4th place, which is Man United, in the Premier League. An incredible run. What have I got? Lost 1 of their last 8, winning 5 of them. There you go. 5 wins, 1 defeat, 2 draws in their last 8 games. Fulham are enjoying football at the minute. Harry Wilson is enjoying football at the minute. It is a little bit Wilson FC, but that's okay. I've never understood the criticism when a team has one really outlier in terms of performance. I remember it with West Ham United when we had Dimitri Payet, and people were like, but Bilic is only good because Payet's good. I was like, yeah, but what's the issue here? So our manager is getting the best out of our best player, and as a result, we're winning games. Unsure why it's a criticism. You should be praising him for doing that, right? Because how often do we see a manager have a really good talent and they don't get the best out of him? So Fulham at the minute are doing really well. A lot of it's down to Harry Wilson. That's a good thing. Credit to Marco Silva, credit to Harry Wilson, and credit to Fulham Football Club. Wonderful form at the minute, and I think they might keep up that good form. I'm going to say Manchester United 1, Fulham 1. A different test for Carrick. Be interesting to see how he gets on. Nottingham Forest host Crystal Palace. This will be the game I'll be watching at 2 p.m. because of what's happening outside of relegation. You know, saying that, if we get beat by Chelsea, I might not watch it. I might be stropping. But an interesting one, because for selfish reasons, Nottingham Forest are 5 points ahead of us. Crystal Palace are 8 points ahead of us, and they can't both win. But who will win? Nottingham Forest beat Brentford after 3 without a win, but that does include a draw against Arsenal as well. Winning 1 of the last 4 at home before they play in the Europa League tonight against Ferencváros. I think they're playing Ferencváros, aren't they? coming up against Crystal Palace team, 11 without a win for Crystal Palace. But it's not just 11 without a win. If we go back to... Sometimes stats can be hidden within stats. So we look at... I keep pointing out Liverpool's unbeaten run. 13 games, unbeaten. But there were 6 wins and 7 draws. So I think 13 unbeaten sounds really good, but I don't think it tells the whole story. Whereas Fulham, 1 win, 1 loss in 8 does tell the whole story, which is they've won 5. You know, you assume 1 loss in 8, you assume, well, they picked up a lot of points then. But you can have a lot of draws in there. And that's kind of where I am with Crystal Palace, but the opposite. 11 without a win does not sound great, but 8 of them have been defeats. So 3 draws in 8 defeats out of 11 games. That is terrible. It's not like a balance of, 6 losses and 5 draws. So they're still getting a point here and a point there. They're not. 3 draws out of 11. 8 defeats. They stink. Now, they might have a new signing before then. Just before recording this, an update from David Ornstein said that they've bid 45 plus 5 million for... I can't count before you say that's 50. I know 45 million fee plus a potential 5 million of add-ons for Jurgen Strand Larsen of Wolves. So if that's happening, it would suggest that Mateta is half out the door to Nottingham Forest, who they're playing on Sunday. I can't see surely Crystal Palace are not going to sanction the sale of Mateta to Forest before this game. They cannot do it because you know what's going to happen. Forest are winning, Mateta will score after missing however many one-on-ones all season for Palace. So it's one of them. I think Palace need to try and get Larsen in, but don't sell Mateta until next week. Well, I'll say next week, you've only got Monday. But after the cut-off, 12 o'clock Friday is a cut-off. They've got to sell him after that. They cannot have Mateta playing for Nottingham Forest on Sunday because you think things are bad as a Crystal Palace fan right now. It can get worse. You get beat on Sunday and Mateta scores the goal. That is worse. Adam Wharton out as well. I think Nottingham Forest are going to do it. I'm going to say Nottingham Forest 1, Crystal Palace 0. Things are not good for Glasner and Palace at the minute. Spurs host Manchester City in the 4:30 game on Sunday. Spurs unbeaten in 3. Thomas Frank. Excellent. Fantastic stuff. Unbeaten in 3. Well done, you. Yes, there's sarcasm, but I'm genuinely happy. Do you know why? Because I'm going to keep you in the job for a little bit longer. And that is what I want as a West Ham fan. I want Thomas Frank to remain at Spurs for as long as possible. So I'm hoping Man City beat him. And then so on and so forth. But I just hope Frank... I was pleased to see them win in the Champions League. Win comfortably. A professional victory for them in the Champions League. Good. Well done, Thomas. You've just got yourself at least another couple of games in the Premier League. Hopefully 2 more defeats in the Premier League. And hopefully we can pick up some points in the meantime. Anyway, 1 point in the last 4 at home. So it's not great for Spurs and Thomas Frank in the league. Manchester City 1 win in the last 4 away. So they're not great at the minute. And Spurs won this game at the Etihad. I remember watching it thinking, hello, Frank might actually do good at Spurs. But since then, it's all been downhill. I'm going to say, I think we might have a bit of a classic. I think we've got 2 desperate teams here. I think we've got Spurs, Thomas Frank, just desperate. Romero's just incredible at the minute. He's their biggest goal threat. Got an assist in the Champions League during the week. Coming up against Man City team, desperate. Things don't feel right at City, yet they're only 4 points behind Arsenal. Haaland scored in the Champions League as well, which was important. Semenyo's in form, Cherki's in form, Foden is not. I think we could have a good game here. I'm going to say Spurs 2, Manchester City 3. And moving on to Monday night's game as Sunderland host Burnley. Sunderland remain unbeaten in 11 in the Premier League at the Stadium of Light, winning 6 and drawn 5 of those games. However, just 1 win in their last 7 games, but only 2 defeats in that time as well. So again, pick your stats if you want to make Sunderland look good or look bad. I choose to be fair and give you both sides of it. It's up to you how you use that. Miss Granit Xhaka, they were terrible against us, but Xhaka was a big miss. But Diarra was only on the bench, and when he came on, he made a big difference. I think you might see a bit of, like, I say, the old Sunderland earlier on in the season, before the African Cup of Nations version of Sunderland going into this game on Monday night, which will be important for them. Taking on a Burnley team, no wins in 14 for Burnley, but unbeaten in their last 4 in all competitions. Drawn 3 as well, and I think they've drawn 5 of the last 7 in the Premier League, and the last 3 games they've drawn, which were against Spurs, Liverpool, and Man United. So on paper, the results aren't too bad. I'll be honest with you, I need Sunderland to win this, not because of the league table, but because we play Burnley next week, and the last thing I need is Burnley picking up a win or something, and suddenly they're feeling good and they're feeling in form. I need Sunderland to suck whatever win they've got in their sails out of there. And I think they're going to do it. Sunderland 2, Burnley 1. Now it's your turn. Copy, paste the set of fixtures that's in the description below or the pinned comment below. Put it in 2 places, making it easy for you to get involved. Give me your predictions. It's just a bit of fun. None of us know. If we did, we'd be a millionaire. We'd be putting on a NACA every single week and living the life of Riley. We're not, because it's difficult to predict. That's why the Premier League is fun. That's why it's enjoyable. That's why football is good. The unpredictability. If we could correctly predict every result every single week, it would be boring. No one would watch football. There's going to be a couple of shocks this weekend. It's just a case of who and where. Hopefully, my team at Stamford Bridge. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you're new to Tartan, please do subscribe. I'd appreciate you sticking around. Drop a like on the video by clicking thumbs up. It helps out the video a lot. It encourages YouTube to share it to other people that watch Premier League content on YouTube. So a massive thank you to anyone that does that. I'll catch you in a bit.